Okay. Can we just like turn it on now?
We're on now. Hi everybody. This is Indie. This is Himbo, and I think we're finally actually live. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, I see a red button for
I'm
rocking.
checking.
So we are actually officially live. This has been a
We
challenge and a half.
farting. Ah,
Okay, we just did another intro that we recorded, but we didn't hit the live button, so that was a nice little rehearsal for how Himbo
great
is
rehearsal.
just loving his job and people are wonderful and he's never had anything like it and it's just amazing.
Yeah. I never thought I would be this fulfilled at work while wearing no pants ever. It's great.
By the
Nobody
way,
knows I'm not wearing pants.
This is nobody wants to work anymore. We actually got our tech worked out finally, thank goodness. Something's going on here. All right, I'm on the wrong channel. That's why I'm on the wrong Telegram channel. We're also trying to go to IMN's Telegram. Yep. Yeah, we're just gonna we're butchering the entire thing. But I actually go live to Telegram too. Why? I don't know, but we do. So there's the key, and yeah, so we're going to be live on Telegram too, t.me/Indie News Network. So if you're on Telegram, we actually do some things on that channel occasionally. I think we're on and live. I don't know if it's going to get a feed. We'll see. All right.
What's Telegram again? Is that the one that goes, uh-oh, when it messages you?
Does it? Not mine. Okay, it's not working.
I just made an ancient reference.
Yes. Oh boy. Uh-oh. No, that's funny though. All right. We have a lot of things to talk about, including job searches, because I am back doing the job searches. I'm reinvigorated after a month and taking a little time and a little break from it. It was burning me out. But 30 resumes. I finally got one interview. Finally, a first interview request this week. Finally. Unreal. After 30 resumes. And it's for not even, I think, a remote position, but it's an account executive. And so I was like, all right, I'll take the shot. Right? And at least go through the process of interviewing. The worst thing they could do is offer me the job.
Yeah. Really?
Like, seriously. I almost don't want to do it in a way, but I'm going to go through it and see what happens. Like, I got nothing to lose. So, we have a bunch of things to cover. What I wanted to do was let's just start sharing a screen here and show you. These are some of the things that I encountered while I was back searching this week. Pretty funny, but the gender identity, agender, some of these I don't even know. How do I define these? I think I need to get a dictionary.
I have no idea what the first two are. And is agender, first off, I pronounce that as like
agenda.
I thought it was like
I have an agenda. That's right. I'm sorry to make
Is that someone from Boston guys, saying agenda?
This is not meant to harm or be mean to anyone. It's just funny. I'm sorry. It's a little funny.
No, I think it's just at the point where it's a bunch of suits making the calls on this shit, and I think they're so out of touch that everybody's just picking up on it.
Don't be rude.
Agender, I guess that means like you don't have a gender.
We don't want to be rude. Don't be rude, right?
Don't be rude.
Like, we're not going to be rude here.
My point is always going to be like, why the fuck do you want to know this in a job?
Why do you want to tell people that you're gender fluid to start? Like, you haven't even interviewed. They haven't even. Okay. Anyway, we move on.
Okay, so hold on. I looked it up. Agender is a term that refers to people who don't identify as any gender in particular.
So that's non-binary, I guess, considered, like, but I'm sorry, there were more.
Non-binary is pretty different.
Right?
You don't conform to the two established genders.
I'm not really there's too many choices here is all I can say. And I'm not being bigoted or whatever. Like, I don't care, really. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't bother me. It's just, okay, but okay. Anyway, there was this one too.
I think the takeaway here is that the people making these things, they don't really care about their gender at all. All they care about is
not getting
exploiting your labor.
sued. Not getting sued is what they care about. Like, they don't want to get sued. And that's what's going on here. Oh, goodness. Dr. Nick, don't get us sued. If I were from Transylvania, would I be trans? Jeez. Okay. So I love this one, too, because I've never seen this, where they specifically outline and define exactly who belongs in each category. A person having origins of any of the original peoples of Europe is what white is. So,
Middle Eastern or North African.
Canadian?
A person having origins in any of the racial groups of the areas that the United States is currently fucking up.
Right? Like, I don't wish to answer.
That's the only correct answer to any of these things.
It's my answer every time. I don't wish to answer. Nope. And there it is.
Because they have to just look at, like, your experience and the things that they should be looking at with a goddamn job application.
Like, wow. Okay, so I'm going to out this company. I was going to blur it out, but you know what? The hell with it. And I'm not necessarily blaming them, because I think that they likely have something to do with the medical field or with government contracts. But this was on the job application. And this was beyond problematic for me, and it caused me to not go forward with the application. And I'm going to read this out for anyone on the podcast that might be listening, because, yes, we do have a podcast for Nobody Wants to Work Anymore. It's on Apple and Spotify.
Check out Apple and Spotify.
Check out Apple and Spotify.
Yeah.
So it says, I understand that if applicable law or the requirements of the position that I'm applying for require me to be fully vaccinated for COVID-19, then blah, blah, blah will inform me of such a requirement. If such a requirement applies and I am offered a position with blah, 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 then my offer of employment will be expressly conditioned on me being fully vaccinated for COVID-19 on or prior to my start date, as well as me providing proof of such vaccination unless a legal exemption applies. If I want to apply for exemption, I understand that I may do so with blah, blah, blah's Human Resources Department only after I'm offered a position with them, and until such time I understand I'm not to provide any medical or other information and reasons for either being vaccinated or unvaccinated to the company. Wow. Okay. This was for like an account executive job. Really?
Okay, first off, if they ever asked me this, I'd be like, look, I'm vaccinated for both. I totally screwed up. But first off, right off the bat, at this point in time, and I'm not giving like an anti-vax take. I'm giving like a use your fucking think me and like process this information. At this point in time, what is this supposed to accomplish for anybody? What is the point at this crucial juncture? You need to be vaccinated for COVID-19 so you can get COVID-19, go into the office, give everybody else COVID-19. What are we doing here, lads? What the fuck is good?
Yep.
Are we even making sense anymore?
Nope.
I can't deal with companies who are still like, what is good?
Town.
Having these weird, and yes, I'm a little biased because you know how many vaccines I got? Goose egg. And you know how many I'm gonna get? Goose egg. And that's because I don't live in Cuba, because I'd probably be vaxxed to the max if I did. because I trust those fuckers, and I do not trust big pharma at all. That's how I roll.
All right, I was working on getting my chat up. Yeah, I mean, I am not. There ain't no job at this point that I'm taking that I'm gonna get jabbed for. Honestly, like I can't imagine there would be any job that I would take that would be important enough to me to risk that. Unless
I'll put it this way. If they were like, okay, we really want you, but you need to get vaccinated for COVID, what we can do is we can pay to fly you to Cuba so you can get all your vaccines in Cuba, and then we'll fly you back. I'd do it in a second. The difference is, one of these countries, they're shit for their people, not giant, colossal corporations.
Well,
that's the difference. I don't trust the colossal corporations because they're profit-oriented.
Well, not only that, they're sending doctors all over the world. They're making the best doctors, and they're sending them everywhere, and they're sending them to Gaza right now. Hopefully they aren't being taken out by Israel, but like they're taking everybody else out. But anyway, I digress. Yes, so those were a couple of the application things that had happened. There's also a potential, there were a couple opportunities that I was pursuing, and I'm actually going to share with you guys one of them, and I'm going to ask for everybody's help. So, it starts on Substack Notes earlier this month. It says, funny story. That's Linda, and Linda introduces she gets excited about all the new writers and creators that show up on Substack. They're actually hiring right now. So she says, funny story, when I got hired there, I was coming from the investment business. So I need a fancy title, something better than just writer partnerships. And Hamish McKenzie, who's the CEO or COO, he's one of the C-level execs, said, we're a startup, so we don't have fancy titles. You can call yourself whatever you want. So on my LinkedIn profile, I put head of finance and investing writer recruitment, Rich, right? Then I started getting all these LinkedIn messages from salespeople trying to sell software for finance departments, and I changed it, never made up my own title. Anyway, Substack is hiring if you want to work with me, and if you're into doing it for the mission, not the title, which is hilarious, right? So I like the people who work here. For the most part, the people that I've seen are outstanding and really care about connecting the people, writers with their audience. So I replied to her underneath and said, like, I would love to, and I applied. And I want to use this story in our podcast about finding jobs this week. It's called Nobody Wants to Work Anymore. So here, Linda, if you're watching, hi, Linda, and thank you. And I'm going to show here that I applied in my real name, of course. I didn't do it as Indie, although I did have Mills Baker and a couple of people try to connect the dots with HR so they knew who I was here and that the person with that name on my resume was applying and that, hey, they're the same person. I said, I've been doing a lot of these things without getting paid for it, and I would love to be part of shaping how the platform goes forward with its approach to video and podcasting. And this was about 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Today, this week, they made a major announcement, a big announcement on how they're going to handle video, and they made a big upgrade to their video platform. So they're really going after video creators. So what's the role? Podcast and video acquisition and development lead. So
okay.
I actually pulled the role. And so what does it do? That you should be able to identify talent across a wide range of networks, formats, sources, from Instagram to TikTok, YouTube, traditional podcasting, and have a passion for supporting these creatives and fostering growth on Substack. I don't know who does that. I don't know a guy named me who does that. But it's a competitive and very lucrative, nice role. Final offer amounts determined by multiple factors, but What do they want you to do? Find and recruit multimedia creators who will succeed on Substack and unlock key new markets in audio and video formats. Right? They want to work directly with writers.
I don't know
artists,
anybody who does that.
Right? And then partner with the internal people to shape the product development for maximum market potential based upon user feedback. I mean, so this sounds like literally it was written for me to do, with the exception of one thing. And it's this word that's scaring the hell out of me. It's the word diplomatic, because they're looking for excellent written, verbal, and diplomatic skills. And I kind of set that platform on fire as Indie, at least. Now, the fun thing is that I can come in as my own name and then burn shit down at night as Indie, and at some point someone will catch on, I'm sure. But yeah, it's the diplomatic part that may be getting why they're not coming to me right now. But so I applied. Not only did I apply, but I made a pitch in here saying why, this is kind of like an extra resume on top of my resume, right? So I managed every platform from YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, Instagram for my Substack, right? And then organized a network of independent live streamers that, hey, we're on that network right now, Indie News Network. Hi, everybody, INN, indienews.network if you haven't subscribed yet. IndieNewsNetwork.substack.com too, since we're talking about Substack. I book guests for a radio show, right, with other media personalities, so I do have plug-in to other networks and entertainers, podcasters, etc. Recruited several other content creators to publish on Substack, and then made a video series. And I'm sure you guys in chat have seen Indie's Tech Tips. That is over on Rumble exclusively. I put that there. And then I also have 3 Substacks that I publish to on a regular basis. So I took that out, and then I'm going to read you what I won't read Zacharoni. Zach's amazing. Again, I'm so grateful. And he wrote this really nice, gushing, long testimonial. Basically he gets what we're doing here, and it's really nice. And I would love for a bunch of people to write and tag Hamish and Mills and Chris Best and these 3 guys, and let them know that Indie would be awesome for this role. That would be really awesome. So not only did that happen, but then after that, they put up another role called a technical partner manager, which they're looking to provide technical. Advanced technical support via guidance via email, phone, Zoom, and in person. Debugging tech issues like yesterday when they launched their video product, somebody noticed that their inbox of new articles was not populating with new articles, and let them know it. And it was me. And for 3.5 hours, there was nothing publishing or showing up in your inbox on the Substack app. And they caught that. There was some kind of queue backup, and they blew it out and moved everything along within 20 minutes. But thankfully, I was able to help them, and we were able to get that cleared out, because it was a video of mine that was missing right after they had done their launch. So sharing the roadmap on technical features with top writers is appropriate. Now, again, they call creators writers. I am a big believer in broadening that out, especially if they're going after video and podcast and other genres. They've got to stop talking about just writers and broaden that out, right? And then scoping an effort to lead top writer support tiers, advancing their efforts for top writers. And I like what they're doing. So what do they want? Again, technical chops. Now, I don't have SQL or coding, but I've got everything else there, and I can learn SQL. I've got plenty of other stuff. Highly organized, project management, passion for reading and writing. So I applied for this one too. But I didn't stop there. And this is the lesson that I'm going to have. And it wasn't just about the fact that I found a couple of roles at a company that I would kill to work for, honestly, at a number that is reasonable for where I need to be and where I've been financially. It's there. And yeah, it would be awesome. But the lesson here is I didn't stop there. First of all, I'm engaging with the people from the company on their platform, tagging them. Right? This is the co-founder and chief writing officer. Chris is the co-founder, and he's also like the chief executive officer. Mills is the head of design. So I'm trying to make myself known to the higher-ups of the company through a public setting and show that, A, I've got passion for their business and to help them, and I would be a valuable asset to them. So those are the type of things I'm doing. Now, on top of that, I also have privately emailed Hamish on LinkedIn through Sales Navigator because I have access to that. And as well as my friend Mills over here. So I'm doing all I can. Like, I'm lobbying the hell out of these guys. Hire me. And not only that, but they just launched this awesome new video solution. So now they really need somebody to bring in partnerships. Right? What's your take on all this?
Looks pretty sweet. I mean,
and like you use this platform pretty much, you know.
Not to be perfectly honest, I wish everybody would just migrate over to it already. I get why they're not, and to be perfectly honest, no, still does kind of need some, like, it needs more stuff, right? We all get that. But yeah, dude, this is pretty custom tailored. And
so,
I mean, fuck, if we can migrate everybody over to just not a
the only thing that they're missing is DMs. To me, that is the biggest thing. The DMs and DM threads, are the biggest things that they're missing. If I could convince people that it's literally the same experience in a lot of ways as Twitter, where you can block.
It's pretty much identical.
Well, yes, but it's also got a publishing platform on top of it, with a podcasting platform on top of that, and now where you can put out video emails, videos that connect to the web, and it'll email out to people. I don't know if it'll play directly in their inbox, but yeah. So if you're not connected to me on here, please do at substack.com/@indiemedia today. So connect with me on Notes. Notes is their like Twitter, like social platform. And it's an interesting place. There aren't very many people that are on there and engaging. I wish there were more. But some people that are on there are great, and some people that are on there you can just ignore or block if you choose to. The great thing is that you can curate the news feed. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you said the way I've seen it. Go ahead.
If we're in a Canadian standoff right now, you're going to lose. Please go.
Oh, don't polite me to death. So
Sorry.
The good thing is, and it's funny because I'm jumping up and down screaming that I want to work and help this company. And then you've got Axios. Again, this is a take on the nobody wants to work anymore, except that it's now employees apparently have the upper hand. Really? Well, that's good to know. But workers have leverage, according to Axios. Why? Because of what happened at OpenAI. All right. But the unemployment's been below 4% for 21 straight months. Of course, that's because everybody's got 3 jobs instead of 1. Right? But the share of prime age workers who are employed is hovering at a 22-year high, meaning that there aren't many folks left out there who businesses can hire. Really? I think they're discounting the number of people that have exceeded their maxed out unemployment and are just out of the system.
Yep.
like me, for example. And then they're saying demographics may keep things tight for the long haul, as population ages and messy politics hold back strategic immigration growth. So they're saying that they're not going to flood the country with they took our jobs, right? That's basically the nice way of saying that.
Pretty much.
So, this is a nice sentiment. This is a nice thought, but I see a ton of people on LinkedIn saying that they just hit the market and are looking for a gig. I see layoffs happening, and I don't know. This is Axios. Yeah, here. Yes, but not all workers. In sectors that are shrinking, like media, workers have less leverage to make demands as companies are looking to cut costs. Look, I mean, Jezebel and another one went under recently also. Yeah, UAW didn't get the pension benefits or seeking the 4-day work week. Ha! That's very funny that they mentioned that. That'll be a nice lead-in for us. We're going to talk about the UAW in a little bit. But at the high end of the pay scale, take a look at the wild drama. That, you know, I saw it as, and I saw the people on LinkedIn that I'm connected to saying, look, if you think your job is secure, Sam Altman was the CEO of OpenAI and got fired and got let go by his board. So if his job wasn't safe, nobody's job was safe, is the point. Right? So AI is supposed to make workers more obsolete. Instead, it's made them more powerful. And again, I think that's just a moment in time, and it's not necessarily sustainable that's what's going to happen. And welcome to Corporate Gaslight from Axios, as usual, right? That's what they do.
I love it when they LARP. I love it when they LARP to have like worker solidarity, and when they like walk that tightrope of like, yeah, we're on the side of the workers, and then you notice they're misrepresenting the situation so fucking bad that you see what they're actually doing. They're trying to make everything look nowhere near as dismal as it actually is. That's the tactic here, in my opinion, which is correct.
Oh, we got labels printing apparently. So this kind of corporate gaslight's hilarious, because I think what this is also doing is, who reads Axios? It's the bosses. Like, we're not reading Axios on a regular basis. We're not subscribed to their newsletters. So what this is like the subtle way of warning the bosses, hey, the natives are restless, and they think that they've got an advantage. And the boss is going to come and be like, huh, I'll show them. Like, that's literally what I see this being. But what are you going to do? There were some labor wins, and I'm going to tepidly call them labor wins, and Reef definitely would tepidly call them labor wins. SAG-AFTRA and the writers, of course, have settled their strikes, and this was what they knew about this new contract, and Elaine from Strikegeist had talked about that. So what's in it? And the big deal is they made a deal about AI. That was one of the big things, right? That the strike ended. Now, this was literally like the day that it ended. So they didn't know. And I don't think that the details really have come out yet, because I've been searching and nobody's really, but they signed this, right? Like, they're back to work, right? All the actors?
I mean, they would have to be, right?
I believe so, yeah. The Guild is expected to release more details. There's no doubt a great deal of curiosity, right? Here's the memo that they said the contract was valued at over $1 billion. So this is the record contract type of language. A lot of people are lauding Fran Drescher for her role here. Others are saying that she missed on certain angles and we did a breakdown of the writer's strike, I believe, like what they didn't get and what they really weren't looking after, which was the tech companies that aren't really participating with the guild and some of the protections for the number of people in the room. Like, this was here 160,000 members. 160 will be ratified easily is what they said. So it will go through if it hasn't already. But what is it? The above pattern minimum compensation increases, unprecedented provisions for consent and compensation that will protect members from the threat of AI. That's what they were really worried about in this contract. Now, to me, this is a 3-year contract. So they're going to have to negotiate for this all over again 3 years from now. And do you think AI is getting any better, or?
I mean, it's hard to say. Like, it's getting better, but it's getting worse at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but that like exponential factor of like they just keep improving the technology and the speed, and so pension and health caps substantially raised is excellent, bring much needed value to the plans. A lot of the retirees and the older actors are going to end up getting more. They arrived at a contract that will enable members from every category to build sustainable careers. It seems that a lot of people were happy with this. I don't know. Again, I didn't get a look at the details, and I didn't hear really from anyone that had a problem with it. But then they also...
It seems like a 3-year contract is just kind of, okay, we have 3 years to figure out how to really fuck these people.
Right? So Fran Drescher sat down with this guy, right, the chief negotiator, Duncan Crabtree, Ireland. They talked, they sat down together, and they did this podcast. So I would definitely encourage listening. It's about 40 minutes. If you can stand listening to Fran Drescher's voice for that long, and that's not a knock, but she's an acquired taste. Let's just say.
I could listen to her all day.
Well, she's an acquired taste. So, the question that keeps coming up, does this mean the studios will eventually have AI replicas of every performer? Won't this put a lot of people out of work? Not quite. All right, you make the digital replica and then you're going to store it. It's the storing that's really expensive. Maybe if you scan and create a digital replica of Brad Pitt, that's helpful. Like, you can do that. You'll store it because you can use Brad Pitt. But to utilize it to store all of us, just any actor in some kind of vault, is not financially smart or even sufficient for any studio efficient. So that's not going to happen. So it's only going to be the biggest stars.
I'm sorry. I just like to say, we're starting to skirt dangerously close to like Arasaka's Soul Killer program from Cyberpunk, where it's like we're just copying your old shit. We're so close there. This is terrifying. Oh my god.
Right. If you're auditioning for Marvel and you're auditioning, say, to play a superhero, if you don't want to be scanned, then you don't want to play that part because you're going to have to be flying in the air. Unless you have some special skills. Unless you have some special skills that I've learned about, you're going to need a digital double. Oh, sorry. I can't sometimes with her. She's great, but... And there may even be benefits to having a digital double, right? Of course. So everybody doesn't want to, like, I don't want to go to work today, but they need to get this part. Synthetic performer, say, creating an AI actor that has George Clooney's eyes and Julia Roberts' mouth. They're not going to do that. Assurance that your facial features aren't going to be incorporated into some, as other call people would, a Frankenstein output without your consent. So they'll go to you and say, we want to do that. But you could say no. But then 3 years from now, they'll take away your ability to say no.
Jesus.
Dude.
Can we talk about how like the porn industry is gonna... I don't even... Jesus Christ. I'm thinking in my head of like all the ways that people are going to make this like
I
basically
don't.
abuse this technology.
I don't think they're part of
very
SAG-AFTRA. I could be wrong. Like,
No,
maybe,
just the technology. I mean,
maybe perk after it, but not SAG-AFTRA. Oh, I know. Sorry, that was really, really bad. I'm gonna admonish myself for that one.
perk and SAG is in. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh,
I get it now.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. That's bad. Yeah, I don't have much to say about the writer strike. The actor strike. I guess I'm glad they're back to work and they got a contract that helps them. Yeah, if that's good. Look, unions are reformists. They never get what they want exactly. They always have to compromise, and we're gonna see that in another minute. But the media has also done a really good job at blanket covering a narrative here of everybody shut up, everybody just accept this. We need a deal to go forward. We were out of work for 6 months. This is the best deal that we can make and that we have right now, and we need to get back to work, or it's going to be probably another 6 months before we get that chance. And I think that's...
Listen, I'll say this. I'm all for unions. I will always support any actions in that regard. But people need to understand what you are doing is you are negotiating with capitalists. And that's just something people need to be aware of. So.
E. Heller, porn stars are covered under D's. Oh, man.
Wait, hold on. What's D's? Can you elaborate?
BOFA. It's under the BOFA plan.
Oh, the BOFA plan.
BOFA D's.
That's from the Ligma Accord, of course. Awesome.
Yes, the stars are going to experience the theft of their being, just like the rest of us. I don't know what Fred was saying there was that we aren't even important enough and worthy enough of spending the money to store the space. Like, literally was her argument was, well, they can't really get all. It's basically they can't get all of us, but they're going to get the most valuable and the ones that are going to make them the most money.
These co-ops. That's good.
Right? These co-ops. That's what it should be. That is a cool camel poster, Himbo. And yes, they sure don't make cigarette posters anymore. Not like they used to.
I'm betraying them too. I got a camel poster here and I'm doing some fucking vape. Not even smoking.
Speaking of reformists and unions, the UAW story is a really fascinating case, and they're going to be studying this in schools for a long time. The problem is that I think the way that it's being spun isn't necessarily fair, and in a lot of ways, in a lot of places, in a lot of cases, and I have to say that I'm incredibly grateful for the folks over at World Socialist website, because they seem to be the only ones that are holding union leadership accountable. The union negotiators, while everyone else in the corporate, in both corporate and independent media, just falls all over themselves because a union leader is doing something, anything, even if it's working in cahoots with the bosses. And in some ways he is, in some ways he was definitely not. We're talking about Sean Fain, who is the UAW president. Now, this is in these times. I'm going to show you guys some publications. A lot of this coverage is overlapping, and they say a lot of the same things in all these different places, because what they're doing is they're just regurgitating basically what's being fed to them by the union PR. Now, on top of all of that, what I have tabbed here early on, now this is going to tell a story over a timeline. So a month ago now, on October 26th, they announced that they had a TA, a tentative agreement with Ford. They had not done anything with Stellantis. They had not done anything with GM yet. They were still striking at a couple of plants, and they had about 35,000 total of the 150,000 out on strike, their quote unquote stand up strike strategy. Now, Jeff Shirky, I like that name. He's Beef Shirky. He wrote an article and broke down specifically what they got. That it included, where is it here? A 25% general wage increase over the 4.5-year life of the contract. We'll divide 25 by 4.5, and it's about a 5% per year increase. Now, considering, in comparison, the union secured 23% in total wage increases in the 21 years from 2001 to 2022. So they had only had a 23% increase. They got a big one, but it still doesn't even bring them up to really the cost of living standard right now. That's first, all right? Restoration of the cost of living adjustment, which is really also important, all right? After it was suspended in 2009. This is just for Ford. And they made similar deals with GM and with Stellantis, right? They eliminated wage tiers at one plant or a couple of plants in Michigan. Nice, but not nearly what the union was looking for, all right? Reduction of the amount of time that new hires are waiting to reach maximum wage levels from 8 to 3 years, which is really important. All right. Because yeah, they need to be moved up the ladder quickly in order to keep them. And they've then got the skills and they're producing at the level for the company. You want to make sure they're happy and the company's happy and they're there a long time. Pay them. 158% wage increase for temp workers. Very good stuff. Now, it's funny because it didn't mention whether the contract would be extended to EVs, right? And haven't seen the entire agreement yet. This is in these times who wrote a pretty good article. Then you've got all three automakers on Halloween reached a deal with the union after 6 weeks of striking. And before they even had a vote, they said, everybody go back to work. Before the union even had a chance to vote on it, they just assumed this thing was going to pass and made everybody go right back to work. Now, remember that 115,000 workers never stopped working. But they called this a strike.
Because they couldn't afford to do so.
Well, no, it's because the union never put their plant out on strike. Well, yes, they could. The union couldn't afford to put everybody out on strike. That's absolutely right. We covered that like a couple of months ago when we looked at the strike fund. The strike fund had $800 million in it. So if they had put the full 150,000 out, they only had 10 weeks of strike fund. As it turns out, they only needed 6 weeks to close a deal. So they would have burned a good portion of their strike fund. The other problem is the strike fund also is covering employees that aren't UAW workers in the auto plants. They also had UAW workers that were fired during that period. I believe they were now rehired with $5,000 bonuses. That was also part of the deal. And I put that in. I threw that in at the last minute. Right here, I think they've got a pretty good deal. I expect this is the president and CEO for Center for Automotive Research, CAR. But again, they're friendly to the manufacturers and to the union leadership. What they never do is interview the actual people on the ground. But when you started to interview the people on the ground, you started to look at the percentages, and this was updated hourly. This was the GM vote when they made their deal. You had a bunch of plants voting no. 56% of the Toledo plant, for example, voted no. Right? It was close at the Romulus engine plant in Michigan. They ended up voting no. And you had a bunch of factories voting no. Now, what I'm going to show you, World Socialist website is accusing, and what some of the people at these older legacy plants are accusing the union of is inviting and having a vote from people at the electric plants that aren't even technically hired by GM and aren't union members yet, but they're counting their vote. It was like 1,800 votes at one plant. And you'll see that. They had a real-time vote tracker on Detroit News. So I was really trying to stay on top of this, but I knew in the end, they're going to push this through no matter what happens. That union leadership was not going to make the deal they made and then not have it pass. So they strong-arm, they browbeat. But in the meantime, you've even got people like the Socialist Alternative talking about and getting excited about. This is an adapted version of Shama Sawant's On Strike episode about the TA. Right? Record profits mean record contracts, which they got. And he started, wearing the Eat the Rich shirt, and he started talking all tough. But at the same time, there were things they did not get. The 25% was a major victory. They were looking for 40%. They were also looking to reduce down to a 4-day work week from a 5-day work week, and they abandoned that, which I had predicted. I think I predicted that they were going to close a deal around 25% and no 4-day work week. If we go back to the beginning of what they were going to get. All right. Union prioritized raising the pay of the lowest paid, which is a huge step towards erasing the viciously divisive system of tiers. Agreed. All right. Some are only making $18 an hour. I mean, it's crazy. So read this article. That's Shama Sawant. All right. Then here's the other thing is that Sean Fain, in doing this, negotiated that the contract is going to expire the day before May Day 2028. And you, as a Marxist dude, I would think that that would appeal to your inner senses. Because what he's now encouraging is other auto worker unions to align their expiration dates so that they can really call for a general strike May 1st, 2028.
Yes.
That's what this is setting up for.
To speak on that a bit, the one problem that a lot of strikes and unions have is at the end of the day you are kind of still living on your knees, because what happens a lot of the time is eventually you have to come to the table because you run out of means to support yourself while you're striking. But and this is why I keep talking about encouraging everybody to have class solidarity and encouraging people to have class consciousness, because imagine if there's a strike like this, you don't have to negotiate. You're like, we want these things. It's a yes or no. It's not a let's meet in the middle. It's not a let's think about it. Maybe we'll talk about it later, kiddo. It's we're getting this or fuck you.
Right.
And the most effective way to do that is if it's like, oh, by the way, this isn't just your company. We're so solidified in our proletarian solidarity that if you don't meet these fucking demands, we're going to shut all the labor down.
We're going to do this to everybody.
Not just your company, but other companies. They're going to be pretty fucking pissed at you. It's a snowball effect. And this is what we need to do. We need to get to a point, a lot of syndicalism, for example, speaks of things like this. We need to get to a point where it's like, we got to force these fuckers to just, I hate to use the word, but comply. Or they don't get the labor. Nobody gets the labor.
So I showed you what corporate media and what progressive media basically had to say. And Socialist Alternative, I would say, is not progressive media, but they're somewhere in between. I don't know. But anyway, then you have Eric London over at Socialist Equality Party and World Socialist website. These guys are as hard on the union as there is, because what they want is rank and file organizing committees to replace unions, because they see nothing but union corruption at the top levels where they get friendly with management. Their priorities are not what the rank and file workers are, and workers end up screwed while union heads do very well. So yes, Himbo does call for the snowball effect. That is correct. B.S. Adams. That's pretty, that is an obvious win right there. There we go. Boom. So yeah, we are live tonight, by the way, on Nobody Wants to Work Anymore. This is our first live show. You can see we had a little bit of hiccups to get started, but we're good now.
Kicking ass now.
Right, but
yeah,
the key is I love what these guys are doing, because first of all, they're calling this a sellout contract. Biden and Fain, first of all, held a back to work rally. Like, first off, if you got Joe Biden on your side and saying this was a good deal, this was not a good deal. I'm sorry. Like, now they opened the Belvedere plant, and what does he talk about? Like, immediately here, Fain and Biden had nothing but praise for each other and for the tentative agreements which maintain the hated tier system, block the rollover of part-time temporary workers, fail to make up for decades of falling wages, and pave a way for massive job losses through the switch to EVs. But of course, selling this as a victory, Fain thanked Biden for the support shown by the White House throughout this fight. Yeah, the support, meaning that he was yelling at everyone to get a deal done. That's not support, right? In presenting them as done deals, they forgot one minor detail: the rank and file. Yeah. Neither mentioned that the vast majority of the nearly 150,000 Big Three workers had not yet voted on the contract, or the major plants that have voted down the contract in recent days, including the Flint Assembly Plant, Romulus, Marion Stamping, and Pontiac Stamping Powertrain. These are like legendary plants that have been around for decades. The ones that voted overwhelmingly for this are the newer plants, right? But the entire establishment holds workers' most basic democratic rights in total contempt. They shut down all the strikes at the Big Three and ordered workers to return before they'd even seen the tentative agreements, as if there was any doubt of their aims. Organizers at the Chicago rally hung a banner behind the speakers which read, "Auto workers back to work." It almost sounded like mission accomplished. You know, never before has a sitting president been as closely involved in pushing for the ratification of a labor contract as Biden. I don't know if they're going to sell that as a win. They're going to sell him as the labor president.
Okay, but like, that's not even achievement.
Nope.
What president in our lifetime has even given a fuck? Why do we care if one of them pretends to give a fuck before he needs a nap in the day? That's not a win. Liberals think that's a W.
Yeah, this whole...
And yes, gamer, we are live. Just wanted to address that.
Nice. This whole article is good. I would definitely read that. But there were others, like when the Toledo Jeep workers voiced strong opposition to the deal, Shannon and Jones. I believe Toledo ended up voting no overall. But overall, the union voted yes, so they end up screwed. Right? I didn't stand out in the cold for 6 weeks to get this garbage contract. They were put on strike the day that the union went on strike in September. Meanwhile, there were others that got full paycheck the entire time and never stopped working. These people lived on $500 a week strike pay. Right? This is not a historic contract, not for us, not in any way, shape, or form. So this is actually like hearing from the rank and file, from the workers. Workers reported that inside the meeting, there was vocal opposition to Rich Boyer. He's the UAW vice president for Stellantis. He couldn't respond to a question posed from the floor about missing pages in the contract white book. Loud shouts of vote no all of a sudden erupted. Right? Here, my dad retired. He said we should all be at $40 an hour right now. She spoke about the much touted car lease program, that car rental thing. They made it sound good, but then you read the fine print, and I don't qualify for it because I had tickets in the last year. Your credit has to be a specific range, but on the money paper it says no money down, no credit check, and there it is in the fine print. They're just wonderful, just wonderful people. And then, of course, GM contract passes by a lower margin than the 2019 strike, and it's going to pass 54-46, and it did pass by GM. But then all of a sudden, you've got the Warren truck workers accusing officials of rigging the vote to get the Stellantis contract. Wow. Yeah, workers at the Warren Assembly Plant were accusing UAW local of rigging the vote to get the UAW Stellantis contract ratified because only 335 workers out of the 2188 who voted opposed, right? Except that, again, most of these people were not actually GM employees. Crazy. This is amazing. The way the local ran the vote was piss poor. They didn't make any accommodation for third shift who worked midnights in the paint, so they didn't even get a vote. All right. After workers complained on Facebook about the voting closing at 6, cutting them out, they said, I apologize. We'll do better next time. 4.5 years from now. There was zero oversight over the ballots. You mark it with a pencil, which can be erased or turned into a yes vote. There was little documentation on who voted. It was just a yes or no. No workers were watching them. It was just elected officials who controlled the ballots. This is like, why can't we have a live opening of ballots? They have Facebook Live things for everything else. Why not counting of votes? This isn't a secret. There are no names on the ballots. Insane.
Well, to be fair, y'all down there in America don't really have a good history of the whole counting the votes thing, so...
Well, the only way to do it is hand-marked, hand-counted paper ballots with the opponent watching the count. It's the only way you can do it. Here, David went on to talk about that they tried to stuff the ballots after we voted down in 2015. In 2019, there was record low turnout, which is not surprising given all the corruption. And they did have someone that was like looting. They had people that ended up in jail. Paid $1 million in fines. Remember Norwood Jewell, the UAW VP, who was bribed with a $2,500 Italian shotgun and other luxuries to push through the 2015 contract. Sitting right next to him at that local hall was his right-hand man, Sean Fain. Yep. So I don't believe it passed by 85%. It makes no sense. I know people wanted a new car, and the union officials gave workers what they wanted to a certain extent, but everything's up to the company's discretion to take back. They can revoke the car lease offer. They can stop building new plants if market conditions change. There's nothing written into what they have to do, right? Temporary workers have to have 9 months of continuous service to get rolled in full time. But if they stop scheduling them or lay them off for 31 days, they got to start all over. You think they're not going to do that? Unreal. We've been working 7 12-hour days on and off for 2 to 3 years. We're getting written up and threatened for being late or missing work. They're making the attendance policy stricter. We've had 6 schedule changes, sometimes ending 1, 2, 4:30. They got kids in school to get to school, construction. This is what they're doing to the people who are working the hardest to make the cars. It's maddening, really.
Yeah.
So then you've got accusations. So then you have GM says that the UAW strike cost them $1 billion, but it can absorb rising labor costs as it raises its dividend to shareholders. So clearly they could afford to do this the entire time. And by the way, that was just published yesterday. Now, we also have, this was from the 18th, the live updates thing. Yeah, the vote was rigged. So that's, I think Shannon Jones said this one. We talked about that. They can't believe that this actually went through at the level it did. As we said, they ratified the contract at 54.7%. This is the Southern Illinois Labor Tribune. Now, they got the Belvedere plant back open. That was a big thing that they wanted. Here's again a former local president and current chairman. So again, a union head said it's a good contract. Nobody asks a worker. Why? Why? Yeah. Former financial secretary for a local, but never someone who actually has to sign with and live under that contract, by the way.
Well, because, I mean, we all know the reason, right?
Well,
it's because
yeah, they don't want
the ideal visibility that they'd like to have.
Right. They don't want everyone to know what's really going on, is that a bunch of people are disgruntled with what happened, and it's not sunshine and daisies. But by the way, guys, here's what's coming. While all this happened, UPS opens a huge automated warehouse where robots are outnumbering people 15-1. Ladies and gentlemen.
Note to self. We will need a lot of hackers in the revolution.
Terminator. Right. UPS opened a new technologically advanced warehouse last week. A 900,000 square foot facility, which is now the company's largest, will operate with over 3,000 robots doing the heavy lifting. Initially employing 200 workers, may eventually grow to 500, but of course all of them are non-union jobs. So they're not Teamsters in these warehouses. The warehouse is located on the outskirts of Louisville. The location of the company's All Points International Air Hub Worldport, which employs roughly 12,500 workers. That's interesting. The UPS velocity comes on the heels of a sellout contract passed last August. We railed about that. And what's coming? Hailed as the most lucrative agreement ever. There were no protections against jobs and loss to robots and AI. So, as reported by WSWS, UPS now plans to reduce its 140,000 part-time employees in sortation centers through automation. Now, a lot of those 140,000 part-time employees are not warehousers, but they're drivers. So that's the other part. So they're saying automation, but they're not saying driverless cars. That's the other part of what they're doing here. Right? This is so dystopian and draconian still more. What do you think?
I just wonder what would happen if someone walked over and just handed one of the robots like a copy of Daska. I'm just wondering, would that maybe, plant some seeds? Could we have some robot comrades going on? Because Jesus Christ, this is ew.
I thought they were already pre-programmed.
And by the way,
all that stuff.
By the way, all of these robots, they're just there because these fuckers don't want to pay people enough to feed themselves. They would choose profit over people being able to survive. And these are the same people that you have to sit down at the table and negotiate with.
Already so far this year, 57% of UPS volume first processed at U.S. hubs went through automated facilities. All right. It's not only key to UPS strategies going forward, it's a devastating exposure of Teamsters bureaucracy's claims that its new contract was historic and life-changing. What it was a master class in propaganda. And I told a story on How Do We Miss That. I went to Florida while we were gone on our break, and I spent a little time with my dad, who's in his 80s. He's incredibly sharp. He spends all day reading and consuming business news, but it's tailored towards, well, he's a wealthy investor still. So he knows, by the way, yes, terrible, shame. He knows, by the way, what the latest iPhone is and all the features that are on it, the latest watch. And for in his 80s, he's remarkable, I will say. But he's also susceptible to chud propaganda. He's a former Republican who is now a Biden supporter because Trump embarrassed him away from his party. fiscal conservative,
and
always a
ideologically
social
they're
liberal.
virtually identical.
Anyway, and also a Zionist, which is also not a good thing. But he said to me, we took my son to the park, and he turns to me and he goes, "Hey, did you hear UPS drivers are making $170,000 a year after 5 years on the job?" And I wanted to reach across the table and strangle him, but instead I just kind of laughed at him and I said, "Yeah, that would be awesome if that were true, but you swallowed a narrative
Nice.
and believed a bunch of bullshit, and let me tell you exactly what it is, because very few people have studied this quite to the level that I have." And he goes, "You shouldn't have been doing that." Only because I had the knowledge to own him in that case, yes. So I then...
Actually.
And then he tried, I was the actually guy. And I said, "You show me an article that shows me that indicates anywhere that a UPS driver after 5 years is earning $170,000 a year." Because the way that it works is that you have to be there 25 years to get that kind of level of pay. You've got to have been a full-timer, maxed out all of your raises already to that point, and they will max out at, by the end of the contract 5 years from now, at $49 an hour. So, but half their workforce are part-timers. They got 220,000 part-timers, which is already now down to 140,000 according to this. And I started to go through all this, and all he did was listen, and he kind of looked at me like, "Oh, okay." But in the end, it didn't change his world or his life or anything other than the fact that he was wrong about this, but it wasn't, I don't know, it just meant that he couldn't.
Well, no, because okay, so what happens in these moments, because just in my opinion, because I've had a lot of these moments with my family, is that I've noticed, and since studying psychology, you can't turn this like analyze brain off. If you know any psychology humans, and it's like, "Oh, you're not like analyzing stuff," if they say no, they're lying. I've noticed that when you correct someone in your family or a good friend of theirs, what happens is it creates this like cognitive dissonance. It's really uncomfortable, which is why they usually don't engage further past the point, or they like change the subject really quickly. But I notice what they usually do when they feel that cognitive dissonance, they go back to the sources of propaganda because that relieves it, because it like further reinforces what they've been propagandized with.
Right. Well, they were
your dad
wrong.
probably ran to some CNN after that.
Right. I wasn't wrong. It was Business Insider's fault for lying to me. Yeah. No, it's not your fault for not questioning that Business Insider is lying to you, or asking the obvious question of, are they? But remember, someone who makes the kind of money or has the kind of money he has, he thinks everybody makes big money. Like they don't understand how people live that don't make six figures. They really don't. They live in such a out of touch bubble, and at the same time, glad that they don't have to, because they wouldn't want to, because they can't imagine what that would be like. So,
well, also older generations, they have no idea what the fucking struggle is nowadays. They have no clue.
No idea.
When they were our age, like, they had a house, they had a car, they had a college, they had a grenade launcher. One of those might be less accurate than the others, but
they had a bunch of stuff for sure.
Like, they're not like renting with four other dudes in like a 3-bedroom and like scurrying around the kitchen like fucking rodents because they gotta like budget out the food bill.
Yeah,
they don't know that world.
Well,
they don't even think that world exists. That world exists for like middle class people nowadays.
Ramen dinner.
And they have no idea.
They don't know like top ramen, not going to a fancy ramen restaurant and having like eggs and like the real ramen prepared for you, but like the Nissan noodles ramen. Like, yeah, that's
I'm sorry though. I gotta say, I still eat that shit.
No, so do I. It's good. My kids love it. It's good. Now, I'm gonna move away from UAW, but just to say that, I want to see the UAW workers get happy with the contract that they had, that they signed, and I think that they're not. That's all
I'm going to say. More.
I want to see the workers happy, but now they have to wait 4.5 years to get more. They're going to have to live with this for a while, and then we'll see what happens. Now, what has also happened as a result, and I did want to take note about the fact that first of all, UAW announced this week that they are now going after all of the other auto manufacturers in the United States that have plants under non-union shops, from Tesla to the 6 Japanese manufacturers, Japanese and Korean, to the 3 German manufacturers. So you've got Mercedes, BMW, and Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche have all have plants here. They're going after all those, as well as Tesla, Lucid, and one other Rivian EV companies, and they're looking to add. Now, right now there are 400,000 total members in the UAW, or 250,000. They want to up it to like 400 because there's another 150,000 between all these other plants. I don't know if that's. I mean, it's a bold strategy. Bold strategy, Con. Let's see how it pays off for them. I don't know.
Exactly.
Now, Toyota and some of these others, in response to the UAW contract, also did raise wages for a lot of their workers as well. So it did have a ripple effect, and they're, again, yelling this in the corporate media that this was a good thing. My answer to all of this was, you realize this means they could have afforded to do all of this before without all of this, right? They could have done all of this without having to put everybody through the pain of a strike. But it's straight up corporate greed. It's the stock buybacks. And that's what Fain is going to use as the angle to all these corporations. Hey, Tesla, you've got the wealthiest person in the world as your owner. How about, getting a little bit more out of him and organizing to negotiate better and getting the power of a union behind you? Now, Musk will probably just fire anyone that tries to organize. And then he'll deal with the NLRB.
He will.
We'll see. I did want to get into, so those were the couple of things that have happened since. The UAW is making some bold moves. We'll see what happens. I am a big fan of rank and file workers, and I like what World Socialist website is advocating for, as long as it moves toward worker co-ops and owning the means of production and having more say over what management does, as well as over the inequality from executive level to your lowest paid employee. I think if they figured out a way to right size that so that no boss could make more than 10 times what his lowest paid employee makes, you would see a lot of, things change. Honestly, I really do feel that way. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I
honestly, I just think everyone should strike for a worker co-op, period.
Now, similar
no negotiations, just that's it.
Similar to Substack, there's a company called Morning Brew that puts out a businessy type of newsletter. I started subscribing to them about 4 or 5 years ago. They sell sponsorship like crazy. They're corporate-y. But I kind of like what they do. So they're looking for a full-time hybrid person for content. So I start looking at, okay, what are they looking for? They want someone who has experience in in-studio production, video podcast production, or live-to-tape TV production, right? That's okay. So Bossy with Tara and Katie is a new franchise that they're running. Bossy is the ultimate show for the modern entrepreneur, hosted by 2 extraordinary women who bring wealth of knowledge, right? So what they want, duties would be diverse and wide-ranging, from day-to-day pre-production tasks, as well as post-production tasks, You're considered a rock star candidate. If you ever see those words, run. I think we've already established that, right? Because that means
just the word rock star, period.
They're going to overwork and underpay
they're just
you.
Yeah. They're just going to work your ass to the fucking bone.
Every
That's
time.
what a rock star is to a capitalist.
Right?
That's it.
But what's amazing to me, I mean, they put down all this stuff, right? You're managing all weekly show content. You're working with co-hosts and coordinating all parties, and you're pitching relevant topics to editorial meetings. You're doing all this, and you hold strong research and writing skills. You could whip up a 30-second primer on the impact of Beyonce on Sweden's economy while also writing a long-form script on the future of AI for entrepreneurs. So they're looking for somebody who's obviously intelligent, plugged in, and knows what they're doing, right? You've got a minimum of 2 to 5 years experience in media and podcast production. Now, what do you think somebody like that makes?
Well, clearly a very high amount, like 170, 200, maybe 300. Oh no.
$65,000 to $70,000 a year for somebody that can do all that.
Less than I do. What? Oh my god.
You can work on a deadline and tasks rarely, if ever, fall through the cracks. Like,
no, we're the
what? Okay, guys. Guys over at Morning Brew. Folks, people.
Bro.
I had to bring this one out. So this is now going to segue into the funny portion. So similar to How Do We Miss That? This is like our boats smashing into other boats portion, where we're going to look at some funny shit on Instagram. So my first one, I love this one so much. So this is under the coexist, right? So our friends over at South Park. What is this? Who could unite the Middle East? Maybe Leroy.
The party is officially underway. Jews, Christians, and Muslims have united, ushering in 10 years of Van Halen. Out in the crowd, people are celebrating like never before.
So good. Oh, we're gonna get pulled. Uh-oh. I hope I don't get in trouble. Don't hurt me.
Yeah.
Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me for that, YouTube. All right. So, don't pull the stream. Oh, that'll come back in a minute. Anyway, here's another one.
He wears a Daniel Wellington. Get that man.
Yeah. What does his watch say? What his watch says about him?
Says about him. If he has an Omega, he's probably watched way too many Bond movies and he thinks he's cooler than he actually is. He wears a Daniel Wellington. Get that man a time machine because he's still living in 2016. Same if he wears like a fossil watch. Just get a real watch. If he wears a Rolex but can actually afford a Rolex, then he just has expensive taste. But if he wears a Rolex to flash non-existent cash, he is the Tinder swindler. Keep him away from all your credit cards. The Apple Watch man is an efficient, reliable man. He's probably very minimalistic and wants to optimize his exercise or his sleep. His favorite book is probably Atomic Habits or something. If he wears a Breitling, then he probably wants or already owns a boat. Either way, lock this man down. This guy oh, I'm bored. Let's do it again.
I love the cats you want. This guy fucks. She's good. So there's that one. And then we have, I did this one just for Himbo because joining a new company.
Breath of fresh air compared to my last company. Everyone here is seriously talented. I'm so happy I joined. This place is not perfect, but no place is, right? And leadership definitely has its flaws, but so do I. This place is an absolute nightmare. I don't even know how we exist as a company.
No, wait. What day are you up to
Have
right
you gotten
now?
to that point yet?
What day are you up to right now? About day 60?
I'm like, yeah, about day 60. So another month, and I
we
can
got
be
about
this
a
guy.
month till this.
Nobody has the slightest clue what they're doing. Between you and me, I am actively interviewing. Yeah, this place is an absolute dumpster fire. I don't even care if they fire me at this point. Just do it. Put me out of my misery. This place is like a...
I'm not gonna lie, the pay's good though. It's good enough for me to, I don't care.
Well, here's my. I love this guy, Corporate Sween. By the way, at corporate.sween. If you're not following, give them a follow over on Instagram.
But we are at 9:03, so let's get started. What do you say, Tiff?
Let's do it.
All right, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are, and welcome to this quarter's All Hands. Let's hop into the agenda. We have a lot of things to cover, but
one moment.
People are still trickling in.
Literally, that was the beginning of my last All Hands meeting that I sat in on when I was at my last corporate job. Like, it was good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I think that's CEO speak. It's remarkable that when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, that is my last. What happened? Wait, we lost Himbo. Ah!
Dude, I don't even know how my kitten did this.
Kitty!
She somehow dismantled the fucking shower curtain.
Dude, that's impressive. All right, so this one I saw the other day, and I'm like, oh my God, this is really funny from Corporate Sween. And
it looks like some of you also had some time off last week.
The toxic manager coming back.
Productivity dipped. And yes. I don't expect you guys to be as committed and dedicated as me, but it blows my mind that I can be on PTO with my family in Costa Rica and still outwork some of you guys. Like, I literally opted out of multiple excursions with my kids
family,
just to make sure we met our deadlines. That's time I'm not going to get back with my family. That's how dedicated I am. But listen, I have some people coming over to take care of my driveway in 20 minutes. I got to talk to the contractor. So yes, vacation was fantastic. Thanks for asking. I'll talk to you guys later.
That's
too good.
That's so he's so good. He really is. I mean, there's just an entire series of these, and amen. All right. So then there's this one. I related to this one very hard.
Of my unemployment, and I'm a little bit nervous right now. I'm down to my
here. It's the unemployed tech bro. So,
and I'm a little bit nervous right now. I'm down to my last $700,000. I'm basically living 17K to 17K severance paycheck. I don't know what I'm gonna do once it runs out. I calculated it. At this rate, I only have 12 years to live work-free at my current living expense rate. I don't know what I'm going to do 12 years from now. I'm really nervous. I hope I can find a job. I'm trying to relax and just focus on my passions, but I realized I don't have any passions. All I do is hike and rock climb. So I'm trying to figure out my passions and then enjoy those. But in the meantime, I'm probably just going to live life to the fullest and go into a sensory deprivation tank for about 5 hours. It's week 5 of my unemployment, and
good.
Yep, those are the tech bros. Those are the guys that I'm competing with, believe it or not, for jobs. Sadly enough. And then we get to our meme portion, which was, amazing. 5 days on site required, no applicants, employers. How did that happen? What?
Yeah, because all their competitors are offering work from home.
That's amazing.
I don't know why people don't understand this.
It's amazing.
All you need is one big company to be like, yeah, you can work from home. And all of a sudden, all the best talent is going to go to the company that doesn't want you to go drive an hour to hang out in an office with a bunch of chatty Karens, where there's some guy farting up the office every hour on the hour.
Seriously.
Your boss is breathing over your neck with that salami breath. You all know that salami breath.
Oh, it's so
You're
gross.
just like, oh man, you got a brush, bro.
Here's a new take on the show name. Okay, this is another one of the gaslights. I sent this to Himbo. New headache for bosses. Employees aren't
Those are
quitting, so nobody wants to stop working anymore. What? Not enough people are leaving their jobs. Wait, what? Okay, yep. There's that one, and then this I felt right at the core of my soul. Right? Upload your resume.
I love
please.
this.
Oh, so good, LeBron. What?
Upload your CV.
Yeah, here.
Now go fill everything from the CV out into our bullshit.
Yeah,
because
cough.
we can't figure this shit out at all.
Workday and cough. So great. Amazing.
And then they're like, why are we getting more applicants? I will tell anybody who's in recruiting, whoever fucking watches this show, which at this point, if you're not turned off by now, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Here's what everybody does. They upload the resume, and then when they get to the whole fill in your job history shit, they close the tab.
They
don't
don't
apply to
submit.
some other shit.
And you don't get a resume.
That's it.
Yep.
Same thing for please register with our company and verify your no. They're just going to go to the next one and keep applying. Like, we're going for quantity here, not even quality,
not only that, but
wasting your fucking time.
I mean, look, I was trying to explain this to my wife.
Quiet hiring.
As part of what?
Quiet quitting and quiet hiring.
Yes.
Quiet hiring is good.
Quiet hiring is brilliant. But so I was trying to explain to my wife that the online searching process, there are times when you can go down a little bit of a rabbit hole because you see a job on listed somewhere. First, you have to read the description of what it is. Oh, this sounds interesting. Then you click to the company. You look a little bit more into the role of the company, and maybe you start filling things out. And then you get to the Workday thing, where then you have to fill out an entire profile. That takes another 15 minutes to then get an automated thing saying, yeah, we're going to consider you. And 3 weeks later, you get a Dear John letter. You just wasted 20 minutes of your life that you'll never get back. All right. And they do this. Workday, definitely known for this. We've also got this one.
Also, guys, just a bit of a tip. Don't fucking write out a cover letter for every single place you apply to.
God, no.
Write some shit that's generic enough. Use AI if you wish, like ChatGPT, for example. Write some shit that's generic enough and just put at the top, hey there, bracket company, and just fill in company, save that somewhere, and just copy paste it. They're not going to fucking...
they're not even going to read it. You don't even need to... Right.
Yeah. They're not going to read it. If they do read it, there's too many people for them to possibly draw any conclusions.
Somebody over at RepView, and I messaged with them yesterday, said that there are companies that are getting 100,000 resumes for one role. 100,000 resumes that they have to go through. They're not reading your fucking cover letter. They're not reading anything. They're running it through a program.
There's no way they can.
No.
There's literally no way.
Yeah. We'll be four horsemen deep into the apocalypse and still going to work. Boy, boss, why are you late? A lake of fire swallowed the freeway. I feel like you're not considering how this affects the team.
We've all had one of those, right, y'all?
So good. Then we also had reason for leaving your last job. Had me fucked up.
that was literally the reason. I was that doll.
Yep.
I was talking about it with my wife today, where it was like we were talking about like coincidences and shit, and it's like it's crazy that they reached out of nowhere about a job opportunity, because I was like a week away from just doing the like mental breakdown rage quit shit with that awful job. But yeah, I was this doll.
Yeah,
I didn't look as good.
I was too. I was I was disgruntled and angry. Not in this current past job, but the one before. They changed the pay plan. They changed the role. They handed me accounts. They took away my biggest account. And then we're like, well, how come you didn't put up new sales? What? What? You handed me nine new accounts to onboard? Yeah. So, yeah, they had me fucked up. So I thought that was funny. And then this one, I felt this one right in my soul. I hate when people email me back too quickly. I just take that shit off my to-do list. Now I got to add it to the list again. God damn it.
Dude, this is working in CX to like an extreme degree.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get through all of your like, to everybody who hasn't worked in CX before, like you're working tickets, right? And it's like support requests. So you get through all the ones, you know, the initial ones where it's like, I need help, please help me. So you work through all that, and then you hope that you kind of, yeah, they're all taken care of. But then like some of them reply immediately, and they need to talk to you right now. So it's like, shit, well, this interrupts my whole workflow because I got to go deal with that now. So yeah, I feel this on like a primordial level.
Right.
If
at my
applies.
core. To my core. And then, of course, that's it. I'm never shopping here again. You've just lost a customer.
Please.
I really
Oh my
so.
God. The funny thing is,
yes, Karen.
That's the most empty shit in the world. If you're going here and getting shit because you need the shit, you're gonna keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. You just
like
lost
every time I handle an escalation from some Karen and they're like, I'm never going to spend a dime on your product again.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I look at their shit. It's like, oh, they just paid another. Okay, well,
they'll be back next week.
Thanks for your business.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So
if you got a good product, it's a good product, and all your empty threats are hollow.
Here we go.
Sweaty.
Business. My profits have plummeted recently. So here, let's go to McKinsey. So increased revenue, lower costs, Lamau. Here's the bill. $300K. Welcome to McKinsey.
Nice.
Consulting in a nutshell. Follow us for more. That's Wall Street Oasis. They're funny. And then we also had, this is me. Dress for the job you want, not the one you have, which is where I wear sweatpants to the office so they know I want to be a remote employee. Fuck nice. Yes.
That's a good strategy. Or just don't wear pants.
Bathrobe.
You'll be a remote employee immediately.
Like my last job, I literally used to have meetings in my bathrobe with my boss, and he used to be like, dude, I love the fact that you wear a bathrobe. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm wearing one right now. I don't care. Robe life, man. It's good shit.
You're like, man, that backfired. I was hoping you'd not like the fact that I'm wearing a bathrobe right now.
Well, no, the fact
that I forgot the robe for it.
Right, exactly. I didn't pull like a, who was that? The guy on PBS, the old creepy dude. I can't think of who it is now, but he used to do that. Oh, my robe open. With the young female interns, so creepy. But yeah, I wear sweatpants to the office, beanies, and I'm comfortable clothes. But yeah, it wasn't because of my robe that I'm not working there anymore. I'll say that. It's because the company stopped paying me. Finally, I will say
better reason.
Leverage, folks, leverage. This is force the vote used to its extreme. From fuck you, I quit.
I thought that didn't work, right? Right? That's what they told me over on left media.
Strike deadline.
Force the vote doesn't work.
Strike deadline in Vegas casino workers 5 days before the start of the Formula One Grand Prix weekend. And guess what? They made a good deal. They were pretty happy about the deal they made because people did not want to see that race fucked up. And that race came off really well. It's funny. It ended up being pretty embarrassing to start. They had a problem with the road, and some kind of a manhole cover popped out or something, and it fucked up a car. And it was like a big embarrassment, but it turned out the weekend was good and they had a pretty fun race and everyone seemed to enjoy it. But of course it made a ton of money for somebody. For a bunch of people. But the casino workers did end up getting a new deal and making a pretty good deal with the owners because they were able to leverage things at the right time. And yeah. So that was about what I had. I did want to call attention tomorrow night. This guy sitting next to me, he's going to do a stream on INN. And he's going to do a gaming stream. I'm looking to bring up the schedule thingy that I set up today, and now I can't even find it. So let me go to Twitter. Bring it up there.
It's all good.
So I made these little squares because there's so many like shows and things happening. So I don't know if you caught earlier tonight on INN, we had an outstanding panel show. I've been having I had this vision to bring INN and antiwar.com people together to make a show so that we could show solidarity on Palestine, and who knows, turn it into a series, and who knows what else potentially. So tomorrow on INN, we're going to have a busy day live. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we're going to have Tor Reed live from Moscow. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's first name, but it is Tadhg. Is that Todd? Tadhg. Todd, what's the guy's last name? Sorry, everyone. Hickey. Tadhg. Tag Hickey. So he'll be on at 1 o'clock with Tara. Angel in the afternoon will have Karen Sage on as his guest at 7 p.m. at Angel in the afternoon. And then this guy will take over at 10 o'clock, and he will do a gaming stream where he's going to stream Project Quorum, which I don't even know what the hell that is. What is that?
Okay, so my plans for this is essentially I want to do a series where we dive into some video games. I cover basically some stuff I'm playing, some stuff I'm enjoying. Not just, me playing a video game. We're going to hang out. We're going to chat. I'm going to kind of analyze a lot of stuff about the gaming industry as I've worked in it for over a decade. And, we'll have discussions about, materialism as well. And I'll do a fair bit of analysis on gaming as well, which I see not a lot of people do. But Project Quorum in and of itself is something that if you follow a lot of top streamers like Coke Carnage, they've been shitting and farting over this. It's essentially it's an EverQuest private server, and it has all the original rules from
it's
the
EverQuest.
beginning of the game.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and everybody and their dog is streaming this for some reason. I'm on it. It's a ton of fun. So it's completely free. So I'm going to start it off by showing everybody how to get into it. If you want an offline game, if you want to kind of play like kind of an old school MMO and get into like more metal like indie style for online gaming, I'll show you how to get set up. You're more than free to give it a shot. I'm going to start a new character, and we're just going to have some wacky adventures, and then I think if it goes well, episode 2, I'm probably gonna play through the new Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous DLC, and we'll just keep going from there and see where it goes.
Sweet. Saturday night, we're gonna actually run boats, smashing into other boats. Roar Media is off this week, so I'm gonna run that as a stream. We ran it Sunday night. We did it live. And then I pulled it directly. I pulled it off the YouTube channel. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to run it live, and then we're going to pull it directly off of YouTube. If you want to watch boats, you've got to go to Rockfin or Rumble, because I don't want to get us pulled for copyright stuff. And if we just run it live and we don't leave it there, I don't think they hit us for it. So check that out. Check that out Saturday night. And then Sunday we'll be live for How Do We Miss That? I'll have to start working on a show for Sunday night. But yeah, Gamer, thank you as always for being here. Dr. Nick and all the crew, E. Heller, Michael Johnson, thank you. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Robe Life, amen.
Love you, beautiful people.
Yes, Bad Cookies, and everyone that was here in chat. Thank you, really. This was our first time doing this live. We had all kinds of technical issues and sticking with us. We made it through. And then, so the only other thing I would say is support independent media, because we need it more than ever. And I'll let this guy say goodnight.
And keep questioning everything.
Yeah, baby. Night, everyone.
All right. Have a good night, y'all.
Indie News Network, collaborative family of independent content creators. Co-hosted normally by me, Indie. I'm founder and editor of Indie Left News and Indie Media Today. I got Reed sitting next to me.
At Kennedy News.
Turn that
Is Andrew
around.
Rivera on The Handsome Cynic?
Okay, so I did okay
my name
with
is
the
Jesse
whole
Jet.
It's American tradition.
screaming into my own ear while I'm talking.
I mean, I mostly
think,
make work, Brian.
Big Man Crab Joe. Keep up those great videos.
Hey guys, it's
What I did was I turned it down so I could hear you.
This is Chris
But
Legion.
I was louder than the voice of my money. For some reason, I need a little better. I think I'll be okay with that. If you want to just keep doing this, I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll reach out to
Keep fighting that good fight out there, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, is this an okay time for us to do it live?